Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about what this system labels to be a numeric people, which happens when a language has no words for numbers. Now, apparently, these people live without numbers, and they live a lot more naturally than we do. Let's find out. Numbers do not exist in all cultures. There are numberless hunter-gatherers, which they like to label people as things, as we're finding out. The more truth we learn, and this one, the labels are a hard one for me to deprogram from personally in my life because I'm finding out and truthfully now that not only does the Masonic language teach us to manipulate people with lies, but it also teaches us to manipulate people with the labels that they created for us to believe in. And I'm thinking these labels that people and groups of people or individuals create, these labels that they create for us to think that we are, they excuse me for a minute. They get us to believe that we are these things, no matter what it is. You know, the dictionary is like the Bible for the Masonic labels that control us. You know, it's the definitions. The definitions tell us, uh, the people that they want us to be, right? With these labels, because the definition of the names of these labels are in the dictionary. And they constantly bombard us with these labels they want us to be, right? No matter what, they get you to believe in. They get you to believe in politics, and they divide you with the label of American. They get you to hate men and women, natural men and women in another land, in another country, that labels them to be something they're not. It's the same with us. And then it goes further into more divisive labels that they created for you to be in politics with the Republicans and Democrats, like we've talked and discussed about before. And then that goes, once you accept that label, then everything that's affiliated with that label and defines that label defines you and who you are and how you live. So they're controlling you and who you are with those labels. And that's in anything. It can be religion, it can be politics. I mean, in religion, they get you to divide yourselves in so many different ways as well. I mean, and they get people to think of other natural people as satanic if they don't agree with their religion, or they'll call them devils uh, when the devils were, lies meant to program your mind into something that's unnatural, and another name they get you to label people with and judge people by. It's a never-ending cycle with these labels they get us to believe in, and it's a sophisticated system of judgment that was created for us to believe in and use against each other. And trust me, I'm not doing it judgment. I mean, I'm not doing it justice, you know. Talking about it the way I'm talking about it, it needs to be talked about in detail, and need to go through the dictionary and point out, some of these labels and how they program us to be the way they program us to be, and how they get us to think that we are these things when we're just simply natural. We were just simply naturally created to live off the natural land freely. And we're doing anything but that. And we're being manipulated to do anything but that. And these these systems we're waking up to that we're programmed in that are so sophisticated, they control the people we are. They were created to. They were created to make us the people we are. And then we run around saying we're free when we're living and being controlled by the labels that were already created for us to be. And I'm dealing with the personal labels that affect me in my life, and I thought of other people as, because I'm guilty of labeling people as some of the things that they get me to believe they are. Like, even though people deceive, and even though people manipulate others with lies, doesn't mean I have the right to call them a deceiver or a divider or anything else of the sort, because that's the label they got me to believe in. It's not truly what they are, which I should be more focused on. Truly what they are is natural. All right, naturally created. And to think of them as what they truthfully are. But that doesn't make an excuse for them using lies and manipulating others with the lies. That just means that I am guilty of labeling other people with what the labels they give me to believe in. And it's really a big one to deprogram from, because if you go through your day and you really think about all the things that you call natural people, because you were programmed to believe in those things. By what? I mean, a lot of things program us to believe in all of these labels that we consider natural men and women to be. I mean, the Bible is a big way they get us to label each other as things we're not naturally created to be, and that they get us to think that we are these things. The Bible and all of the religious scripts and pretty much all the books that were ever written probably have some way or another that they label what is naturally created. I mean, I don't see anything getting away with not labeling what was unnaturally labeling what was just naturally is. I mean, the music is a good way that they get us to unnaturally label ourselves with the names they get us to think we are. I mean, how did they get us to think that we're assholes? How did they get us to think that we're fuckers or any of the shit that people created to get us to believe we are? I mean, how did they get us to believe in the I mean, it wasn't that hard, I guess, right? I mean, we're born into it. So I guess it wouldn't have been that hard. We're born into it. We're easily taught it. We accept it as truth. And we don't question it. So, but still, all that being considered, it's still hard to deprogram from it. And that's something I'm trying to do now. I mean, I've been working on it for at least a couple weeks, probably a month, where I'm just paying attention to the things that I am programmed to label people as, and I have to remember that they're naturally created, and not to give these names and whoever created them power over the people that just are natural. That's what I'm working on now. I'm working on that. I'm working on, deprogramming myself from all of those labels. And trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy, and you can go around thinking that you're righteous, and that would be just another label that they create for you to think that you are. I mean, just being honest, you can go around thinking you're righteous, and you'll never be righteous because you just are naturally created. That's all you can be. You cannot be anything else. Anything else, they just try to manipulate us with. But I'm thinking, could we save labels? I mean, that describe inanimate objects, though? I mean, just to help us tell the difference between what's what. I mean, as long as you don't try to I don't know. I mean, it's just something. It's a fine line. How do you not get away with labeling people as such and telling the difference between each thing? I mean, I guess, if you want to advance, could you advance just knowing that things are different as they are naturally, and not needing to label things, but just knowing that would suffice? I mean, whether you see the difference or hear the difference, just knowing that it's different, it doesn't need a label, does it? I mean, is that something that we need? I mean, if we were to live in a more truthful world where we wouldn't need money to survive because we refuse to let it control us any longer, where we take back the land that was naturally created for us to freely live on, and we live freely and naturally from it, we wouldn't need to to label things the way we label them. I mean, what's your thoughts on it, guys? Leave your comments in the comment section. And would we really need labels to advance as natural people? Could we just stick with the labels that label the material items that we live by, or that just label other things like I don't know. What about the labels for the plants and the animals? Will we need to know the difference? I mean, it would help immensely in knowing the difference between the plants and the animals. But then we would be, I mean, I don't know. It's just something to ponder. Would it be unnatural to name them, or would it be useful? I mean, because we can see the harm in the labels that they put on people, and we're natural. I mean, we can see what harm the labels do to us. I mean, when we try to label people as being different in humanity, then that creates the racism that divides us, and that's not naturally good for us ever. To get us to believe that we're a color that they created to name us, and get us to believe in that we are. I mean, people do. They go around thinking that they're white. I mean, you're not white. You never were. I mean, they get people to think they're black. You're not black. You never were. You were just naturally created to be the person you are. And that goes with any label they put on natural people. We're naturally created different. But does that mean we should label each other and divide each other in hatred? No. We should never label ourselves. There's too much unnatural power in those names they created. You see how it destroys people in mass. These names that they created to get them to believe that they are, they manipulate their minds so bad that they get them to do harm to each other in hatred. It's mass mind control with hatred and division. And it's happening in our real lives, truthfully, in the here and now, and we can see it. And we know it's not good. But these are the things we need to be talking about, asking ourselves, can we do without these labels? Can I deprogram from it? Ask yourself in your own personal journey of seeking truth, is this something you can deprogram from? Can you deprogram from all the unnatural labels they get you to believe in? Can you take them out of your life and stop considering them to be what what they get you to be. And I know I didn't say that well, but these labels, they get you to believe in them so much that it makes you the person that the definition of that name creates. You understand? That label has a definition. And the definition was created for you to believe in and make yourself that. Who created the names and the labels? Who created the definitions for you to be? Well, it could have only been, an individual or a group of people. And why would you subject yourself to want to be anything that an individual or a group of people tell you to be? Out of the infinite possibilities of whatever you could create in truth for yourself to be, why would you want to restrict yourself to a name or a label that somebody tells you to be? And this is why I keep saying we must deprogram from the world that controls us mentally, physically, and emotionally. Otherwise, we're just going to keep being manipulated by it. Manipulating by the things that we talk about that they manipulate us with, such as the Masonic languages. We've already talked about the many ways other than the labels that they get us to manipulate each other with. And it's terrible. And this is just subjects on the Masonic language that we were taught as, newly born babies. We had no choice. But we're quickly finding out that even these languages have a lot of power over us, and they were meant to. It's important, guys, that we wake up, because their lies control us more than with just politics or religion or any of the stuff that they get you to think that is happening to you. I mean, they restrict your mind and get you to think that this is a religious Armageddon. The world is coming to an end. But that's just a small part of how they control you and label you in the religious system, in the political system. We have to wake up to the bigger picture, the bigger ways they control us. And I know, it might scare a lot of people to think that I can't go that far deep into truth. I'll lose myself. I can't. Just remember that your strength comes from all that was naturally created. Okay? The earth, on all that is living on it, including you, your friends and family, no matter how programmed they are, they're natural. There's strength in that, and knowing that there's strength more than you can handle, it will keep you grounded. Okay? It will keep you natural. And it'll keep you strong enough to learn about the lies and find out what you need to deprogram from, so you can no longer be controlled by them. But I totally forgot where I was. If I was talking about the anumeric people, it's just. I guess we can continue with this, and the anumeric people apparently live without the numeric system. It's numbers do not exist in all cultures. It says here, and there are numberless hunter-gatherers embedded deep in Amazonia, living along branches of the world's largest river tree. Wow, can you imagine that, guys? Natural men and women that weren't enslaved by numbers, living in trees and in nature, in trees that were big enough. I mean, they lived along the branches, so it had to be a huge tree. And that's something that makes me think, whether it was true or not. They say there's evidence that the earth had gigantic trees. And I can't help but to think that if that was the case, why did these trees stop growing gigantically? And then I think about how they starved the natural earth and keep the natural earth from feeding off of our dead vessels when we leave our body, because it's all nature's supposed to be, a cycle of life where life feeds off of death and then regenerates back into life, and it's like a cycle that's not supposed to be interrupted or manipulated. But we've talked about on this channel how the system unnaturally manipulates our dead vessels by harvesting our organs and draining our blood and using it in some way or another for their benefit instead of feeding it to the soil that it was supposed to go to, so it could feed other living things and maybe create other living things. And I'm thinking, maybe because they deprive the earth of our natural vessels could be the reason why these gigantic natural things no longer exist, because the earth is so deficient, because it's not receiving what it was naturally meant to feed off of. But that's speculation, and that, in my opinion, just kind of questions to ponder, think about truthfully, because of the way they manipulate us, into these deceptive lies and ways of living. We don't really get a chance to talk honestly about what they do and the consequences of what they do and how that manipulates living things around us, such as the earth that is supposed to sustain us. So, I mean, what excuse me, what are the consequences of them depriving our natural vessels to the earth? There has to be some consequences. I mean, leave your comment in the comment section if you have an opinion on it. Just however you feel on it. We're not looking. I mean, as close to the truth as you can possibly get it. I mean, as far as how you feel. But there's no right or wrong answers. But, excuse me. Okay, so these natural men and women were living, along the branches of the largest river, one of the world's largest river trees. Instead of using words for precise quantities, these people rely exclusively on terms analogic to a few or some. In contrast, our own lives are governed by numbers. As you read this, you are likely aware what time it is. Yeah, because the time was meant to consume us. We were programmed to believe it made our lives easier, and that it made us more intelligent and more powerful in some kind of way if we were smart in mathematics. But what we don't realize is that it keeps us from knowing who we truthfully are. It consumes our mind with the unnatural numbers that were created. And not only that, it teaches us to believe in these numbers to the point to where, it schedules our lives in it, unnaturally. It was meant to organize and schedule, but instead it schedules and enslaves us and controls us in it. And that's the truth about it. It's a routine, repetitious system of control, and we are trapped in it. Now, goes on to say, let's see, where did I leave off? What time it is and how old you are. And there you go, that contrast with the time we're enslaved to live in, They get us to think that we're a number, a repetitious number. In the holidays, they created and programmed us to believe in solely for the purpose of spending the money, and in a never-ending cycle that enslaves us. Okay? This was a methodical system set up for us to routinely be enslaved in, and for us to believe in and keep feeding. These are truths we can't escape. Okay, let's go on. See, you're checking, and even your checking account balance, okay, and your weight. And these two are big because your checking account balance has the money you're forced to survive by, the money you're forced to believe in, the money that somebody created that's really worthless in nature. Okay? Because the land was freely created for the plants and animals to live on, but we weren't allowed to live on it freely and live from it freely. Now, this already tells you there's a problem. We're not meant to be living this way. We weren't meant to have our land stolen from us And we weren't meant to be governed with lies to control. Well, I should say governed with labels and lies to control who we are. So we can be controlled by the things they create to control us with, to enslave us with, such as money and time and the calendar, which all work together in collaboration to routinely and repetitiously enslave us in a system that we were meant to believe in, so we can continuously feed it and continuously could have our generation after generation after generation programmed to do the same repetitious thing and be enslaved in the same way as we were. Because it's a belief system. Whatever label they get us to believe in, whatever label they created us to be, we become. You know, there's 150 million people in the U.S., so-called, that believe that they're American, that believe that they're a Democrat or a Republican, that are controlled by all three of the labels that they believe they are. They are what they made them to be. And that's truth they're not getting away from. Unless they deny those labels. Unless they stop believing in those labels. Unless they accept who they naturally were created to be. Only then can they break free from what programs their mind, body, and emotions. And we all need to take a good look at what programs and labels us in our lives. Stop being those things. Start being a natural man or woman. As hard as it may be to drop those labels that they created you to be, you have to try, and keep trying. It may be hard, but you stick with it. And the rewards are great. You know, the reward is your freedom. The reward is who you were naturally meant to be. It's not for me to say who you are. It's not for me to say, I can only tell you what you're programmed by. It's up to you to implement that in your life. It's up to you to see the truth in it. And it's up to you to make that change in yourself. And then come back naturally who you were meant to be, so you can create in truth, and so you can be even stronger without being manipulated. Yeah, that's right. You can no longer be manipulated by these people. You see what they're doing. You see what they're doing, right? They get us to feel certain ways with these labels. All right? And when we start to feel certain ways, they call it our self-esteem, And these things that we're unnaturally supposed to believe in, such as, the Masonic numbers that that mentally enslave us and mentally consume us. They get us to think we are these numbers, right? By celebrating these routine, repetitious holidays that not only get us to spend the money that we're enslaved to survive with or survive by, because they stole our natural land and resources away from us so we can no longer live freely from it, but they get us to live in these unnatural systems with this money that we need to have in these accounts so we can repetitiously spend on the calendar they created to schedule our lives in. That's what creates depression, stress, anxiety, low self-esteem, the Masonic numbers that they enslave us with. They admit it here. And these people don't have to live by this, these anumeric people. They don't have to live by these numbers we're enslaved to live by. They don't have to live by these numbers that cause us so much stress and anxiety. These unnatural numbers that they get us to think we are. They don't think of themselves as young or old and judge themselves by the numbers. They're consumed to remember, you know. We're consumed to remember these numbers, be judged by these numbers, and be scheduled by these numbers, and enslaved by these numbers. And they're not. They're free from all of that. But we're not. So these are the truths that differentiate us from the anumeric people. Now, it goes on to say, I don't know, let me see. Yeah. I mean, there's not really much else to say about this, guys. I mean, basically, if you look at the numbers truthfully, they do control and enslave and consume us unnaturally. I mean, of course, the people programmed to, or the people that naturally live without numbers, they're free to think outside the bounds that numbers restrict us with. You know, to not be enslaved in the ways that numbers enslave us. To not be consumed by the numeric system and the anxieties that comes with it unnaturally. I mean, they live a more free and natural lifestyle, truthful. But that being said, I don't know what languages they created to speak with, and I don't know if they have any divisions that they created in those languages, and I don't know any of that stuff, and I can't speculate, and I just have to take it for face value, because after all, I mean, these people that they name, that they these people that they label anumeric and they bring to us in these stories, we don't know if they truly exist. We're only putting our faith in the people who bring us this information. So But that being said, the things that we really talked about and the examples that we really pointed out are true, and they really do affect us in the way that we described and that I described in this video. We have to wake up to the real things that we're programmed to believe in that do us harm, because truth is much bigger than um, than the programming of religion, or the programming of God that they get you to believe in, or this God deity that doesn't exist. This satanic figure that never existed. They get you to believe in these systems that unnaturally program your mind, these stories, these fairy tales, these scripts that they control the masses with. And then you can't see truth. You can't expand past the programming that they restrict you with. You can't drop the labels that they program you to believe other natural people are, you know, because you're hanging on to it. But if you drop those powerful things that divide you from nature, you can see the bigger picture. And you can see there's a lot more to truth than you can ever imagine. Maybe sometimes it's a little too hard to bear, but stick with it. Believe in who you naturally are, and stick with the path that you're on. Because look at the alternative, guys. Do you really want to be enslaved like the people you see on TV? The ones that are programmed to believe they're nothing but what they were taught to be and programmed to be. I mean, we can be so much more as natural people. We don't have to choose to live in these societies that program people how to live this way. We can choose to live outside the society that programs many minds and lies. We don't have to be controlled in this way like they say we do. We can just turn in the documents that tell us we're the people they say we are. Turn in your birth certificates. Turn in your driver's license. Turn in all the IDs and numbers that they say you are. Tell them they can have their constitution and laws that restrict you. So many laws, you don't even know how many that restrict us. Go find yourself a patch of land out there and work it yourself. Fuck 'em. We shouldn't have to pay for the land that was naturally created for us. We should band together and work large amounts of land. Who says we can't? This land was naturally created for us like it was naturally created for everyone. Who says we can't tell the societies that tell us who to be to fuck off so we can go and live freely and naturally on what was created for us without being controlled and labeled to be the people they want us to be? See, they're They're trying to get you to believe in the system that I should say they're trying to get us to believe in this system a lot harder now because the truth is out there. All right? The truth is out there about the system they want us to be controlled in. The truth is out there about how we're naturally meant to live. And the differences are far apart from how they want us to live, guys. They want us to live in hatred and division and in multitudes, you know? So much so that we're willing to do harm to each other for it. You think about the system we're being controlled and enslaved in, and this is the system we want to pass down to our children. And I mean, we don't think about it. It's a cutthroat system that we're programmed to believe in, and we have no problem giving it to our loved ones, our young ones. You know, we have to refuse to live this way, refuse to pass this down, refuse to be programmed by it any longer. Start teaching yourself and your children how to deprogram yourself from this world so you can break free from it. So you can just exit stage left, reclaim the land that you're naturally meant to work and live from and just exist on. We shouldn't be restricted by any unnatural laws, constitutions, or anything of the sort. We should not be governed by any king, queen, president, or any governing body of any sort. We are what was naturally and equally created to exist on this earth in truth. And we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that. When humanity was able to live on this earth naturally and freely, we had the ability and the strength to harness the energy that the earth had to give us. We knew how the earth could help us, and we knew how it could nurture us. And we used that knowledge, truthful knowledge, to sustain our bodies. The truthful knowledge how to live off the land, not only nutritionally, but medically as well. Now that we're controlled in such a strict and enslaved way, that knowledge has been lost. And if not lost, separated, kept from the people who need it, which is everyone. So we can start to live more naturally off the land that was created for us. We're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to continue living in such a controlled, enslaved environment? Do you want to continue being told how and who to be and what to do all of your life, just to pass down a world that tells your children and grandchildren how and who to be? We can't do this any longer. We should be living in a world where we're naturally free to create from what was created for us. And what I mean by that is be able to work the land, create from the land. There should not be any starving people. There should not be any homeless people, you know. But this system creates such a thing, and we're fine with it. We allow it. We even label them and believe in those labels, you know. We call these natural men and women homeless because they gave us those labels to call them and believe in, because they created such a situation, you know. They took the land that was naturally ours. They took the resources that were naturally meant to grow on those lands and sustain us freely. They took that from us, all of us, and created these labels to name our natural brothers and sisters with, the natural men and women with, the homeless, the hungry. Okay? They meant us to believe in these labels, accept these labels, and accept the lifestyle which how they created them to be. Are we going to continue accepting these labels that label what's natural so we can live in an unnatural way they want us to live? You know, I'm sorry that the truth has to sound so depressing and it is. It can get a little depressing, but if you free your mind, I guess it's not the truth that sounds depressing now, is it, right? I mean, the truth is powerful. The truth can enlighten you. The truth sets your mind free from the depressing part, right? Which is the lies. So, yeah, let me restate that. It's the lies that control us and enslave us that are depressing, okay? It's not the truth. I got that twisted. I correct myself. Because the truth needs all the respect I can give it. Because it's done so much for me. And it's done so much for everyone that accepts the truth that just naturally is. It can be overwhelming. But it can also be what frees you from what enslaves you in every way, and can be your weapon to wake people up that come behind you, you know. We're at a crossroads right now. You can continue to change the way they program you to be, because that's what they're doing. They're using these scenarios with the election to get you to believe in the system they've always wanted you to believe in. The same system that labels and controls and enslaves you in every way. Because that's all they're doing with these two. They get you to believe it. Alright? They get you to believe Donald Trump's some kind of patriotic savior. Fights for the Constitution. Fights for your freedoms. But you don't have any freedoms in reality. You're enslaved in the time they created. Your life scheduled in the calendar they created. No matter who the president is, they get you to choose from. Okay? It's not going to matter. Sure, the way they control you will change in small ways. And with every president, no matter who it is, it can be on the Republican or the Democrat side. We all know these are labels. They get you to define who you will be and who they control you to be. You know, who they get you to be. You get you to believe in these labels, and they got you. They can control you with everything that they got for those labels. You know, every story, every psyop, everything they have to control your mind with, all the labels that they can create to define who you are, they got you with those labels. You know, it's very sophisticated how they control you, control your family. They control, this is mass mind control. It's 150 million people controlled this way in politics. And not only politics, God is thrown into that, and it's right into the mix. They're always getting you to pray to this God they want you to believe in, the God that they program your mind to believe, that labeled you with these labels. They want you to believe that this God created the numbers that enslave you. They want you to believe that this God created the imaginary borders that they named the land that they stole from you with. This is not true, people. They only say that because they know this God doesn't exist. They use this fake character to get you to believe that this fake character ordained the division of the land that was created for you. And not only ordained it, but named it. They got you to believe in the name. This God named his favorite people Israelites. This God named his favorite people Israel. The favorite people's land, Israel, the natural land that was created for everyone. This God created a name for it and separated and divided it in hatred against the other people in the lands that were created. Come on. We're supposed to believe this. We're supposed to believe in the labels that divide us in hatred. We're supposed to believe in the complicated fairy tales that create real war against what's natural. They get us to believe in these names. They get us to believe that we are these names. And they get us to have pride in these names enough to have hatred for other people that have other names that we need to kill if we disagree with. Do you see how they manipulate us? Do you see how they create us to be what they want us to be? Do you see how they manipulate our actions and get us to truly hurt each other with how they get us to be? No joke, man. This shit's no joke. You will have to make a decision, and it'll be the most important decision you make of your lifetime. You know? Are you going to be on the side of truth? Are you going to be on the side of what naturally created you? Or are you going to be programmed by the script they created you to be? These are decisions you're going to have to make. And it's not up to me to tell you how much time you have to make them. Because time is man-made. Doesn't naturally exist. Only in your mind to be consumed by. Think about it, guys. Do you want to go along with the world that has done so much harm to yourself? And are you willing to pass the programming on to your children? Let's talk about it. Take care.